All right, fanatics, flow with the markets Wednesday. Let's see what the market is doing so far. Just getting straight into it, we are going to start with the DXY. And before we do that, let's just acknowledge that it's NFB week. Now, usually NFB weeks are also the first week of the month, and usually the first week of the month or the first day of the week or the first hours of the day, they tend to be like this sort of accumulation phase where the market is not really doing much, right? So we're currently having an overall consolidation mainly on the USD pairs. So let's have a look. Now, we're taking this monthly swing low on the monthly time frame and we're already rebalancing weekly imbalance, which is quite great. Then dropping onto the daily time frame. So if I just remove my expectations here, dropping onto the daily time frame, you can see that on the way up towards this weekly imbalance, we only have this daily bullish imbalance here that I am going to potentially call a reaction area, right? Because this is not really something that I would potentially love to trade from, because if we're actually coming from that weekly imbalance, I would like to potentially go short. So I would only expect if the market gets there for it to potentially react, give me a pullback, and then to potentially continue going lower, okay? So then starting to make my way down to the following time frame, what happened so far this week is we opened on Monday here. We had this little bullish imbalance, the market pulled back. It chopped for quite a while, then Tuesday opened and it very nicely rushed into once again that weekly imbalance. But then what it did, it really chopped up, right? So we actually had here, we had a previous daily high sweep. Then we went on to sweep the previous daily low. Then we came all the way back into the range. Then we swept again. And then right now we're trying to push lower. We are not ready to commit on the DXY yet. And you can just see it, right? Look at this chart objectively. What is it doing? It's chopping. Why is it chopping? Because in order for the market to potentially reverse from a weekly level, it needs some sort of a catalyst. And this week, I do believe the catalyst for the market to potentially move from that weekly level will be NFP. Okay. So we have this little imbalance here that I'm not even sure if it's correct because it kind of gapped down, okay? But it looks like a potential area that we can be looking for trades. And then potential target is going to be the previous daily low. And then we drop to the 1 hourly time frame. And again, like even look at the 1 hourly time frame. Like what the hell is this? Chop, 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 whoop, up, whoop, down, all right, up, and then all right, down, and then back into the range. This is exactly where you could potentially take a couple of losses. Okay, so avoid that. No clear bias yet on the DXY. If I'm to really start trading it properly, I would wait for the market to exit the range. I will wait for the market to start building that bearish order flow and to really start guiding me then towards that low. Because right now it is in this accumulation phase, first week, NFP, waiting. Okay, so that is the DXY so far. Not really any updates to give. It's still reacting. We have news today on Wednesday. We also have PMI tomorrow on Thursday. Let's see how it's going to react. Now, EU yesterday did give me a loss, which is rather unfortunate. And I did reflect later at the end of the day that probably if I just listen to the DXY and I acknowledge that the DXY is quite choppy, I could have just skipped even trading this week. But again, back into the charts, we gotta start taking the setups. So what I did expect here is either a pullback or a continuation to the weekly or for the market to come back and retest the daily. What are we doing right now? We're doing, I don't want to say we're doing almost nothing, but yeah, we did pull back a little bit and then we pushed lower. We took out this low, right? Which was actually Monday's previous daily low. And this is where I made the mistake to potentially try to then chase the market. You see, I also make mistakes and I'm always honest about them. I tried to chase the market towards this weekly zone. So I ended up taking a trade from right here on the lower time frames, from this 1 hour imbalance, actually taking the previous daily low, which was again a lot of liquidity being taken. But this setup I would take every single day because I know this setup works for me, especially when you know where the market is potentially going. 1 hourly imbalance lower pulled back, gave us the entry. We took it with the Fnatic team. And then, yeah, it's pretty much the choppiness, I would say, right? So we went down, it went up, swept, and then it still went down. And there was a trade right here that could have been taken, but that was already outside of my trading time. So what I actually had as a TP got hit, but it got hit quite a couple of hours later. So then transferring on to today, today is right now looking not so good. We had like a bullish Monday, bearish Tuesday, and right now we're like sitting in an inside bar so far. Dropping then onto the 40 time frame, what you're having right now is a little bit of an uncertain order flow. So we're having, for example, if we look at imbalances to potentially judge the momentum, look at what we're having. We had a bearish one here, it got invalidated. We're having a bullish one here, it got invalidated. We had a bearish one here, it kind of actually followed through, but then immediately after this, we're having a bullish one here. So when you're constantly having like an up and down, and up and down, and up, what is this? It's a consolidation. And this is exactly what we're having right now, okay? So personally, I am interested in trading in New York session today and also tomorrow. And then on Friday, it's NFB. I'm just going to wait for NFB to pass. And then even tomorrow, the day before NFB, we are having PMI. So tomorrow could also be volatile. I'm talking about Thursday, right? But currently, I would just say avoid it. I would just give my best to really not trade. As long as the market, I will only trade, because if those are the two areas that I think the market could potentially go, I want to see clearly that the 1 hourly time frame will start guiding me there. So if eventually today we start having a very nice bullish push with a break of structure and imbalance to guide me there, then that's going to be good. And my mouse is going crazy. And if we also have a very nice bearish imbalance to potentially guide us lower, that is also going to be good. So for me right now, it's all about reacting on your USD, especially right now. By the time I'm analyzing this 1 hour and 30 minutes into London session, there is absolutely nothing. Dropping onto GBP USD, this one was quite clear. We had this very nice weekly bullish imbalance that the market can potentially tap. There is right now nothing bearish on the daily, which is quite good. So what we really have to wait for right now, guys, is for the 4 hourly time frame to start giving us the bullish signals. So what I forecasted is for us to tap into this 4 hourly zone and then drive into the weekly. Well, we did tap, but then we ended up chopping, and then on Tuesday we came in and we actually tapped. What I am simply looking for, so here is a lesson, right? You are potentially going to trade towards that high. So why do you have to catch the trade from the bottom? Wait for the market to break structure. Wait for the market to retest an imbalance. Wait for the market to follow through and break another structure. And wait for the daily candles to start printing bullish candles. Wait for the market to actually tell you, hey, I'm going up. Don't try to catch this accumulation phase. This is a mistake that I also did kind of on EU, like trying to forecast way too much, like trying to trade into those zones instead of just allowing for the market to start trending and then catch the trend. Okay, so I'm actually going to end this here. Wait for the market to break structure. This structure here, I would even wait for this one my mouse is for a change. For it to break this structure here with a clear imbalance, wait for the retest, wait for an entry, then even wait for a break, retest, entry, and then you can potentially start really trading it higher. When can this potentially happen? Well, guess what? Again, we're having an NFB week. So maybe we consolidate all the way into NFB and then maybe next week already move. So don't have very high expectations for this week. All right. And I'm not even going to drop to the 1 hourly time frame right now because you can see it's overall ranging. It came in, tried to push higher. It came back in bearish, then right now bullish, then chops. Wait for the 4 hourly time frame to really give you the shift, because we're trading from a weekly zone. Aussie dollar, not bad. Not bad. There was a nice short yesterday on Aussie dollar, but I ignored it because I did take a short on EU and I didn't want to take any more trades. Folly bearish imbalance, it actually pulled back into the upper one. And then from that upper one here, together with this overall buy to sell, it ended up flushing big time, but then it tapped into the weekly. It had this bearish imbalance, it didn't tap, and then right now it's just continuing to flush lower, right? It's super bearish right now, but there is also that one thing that bothers me. The DXY is in a weekly bearish imbalance. Aussie dollar, NZD dollar, GBP USD are all in a weekly bullish imbalance. So are they gonna reverse from these imbalances? Because right now what Aussie dollar is also doing is it's also taking this daily swing low. Okay, so that's very important. So if you try to go short right now, a little bit low probability. We're taking a daily swing low. We're tapping into a weekly imbalance. This one can start pushing anytime. And we also have a very tiny imbalance here that I can't even draw. Okay. But preferably if we tap into the upper one and if we start getting some sell setups, it could definitely be viable to be taking shorts. But I think on Aussie dollar, this short trade here, this is exactly kind of the same trade that I took on EU, but Aussie dollar worked out. So again, I picked the wrong pair, and that's perfectly okay. Not really bothered about it. This one ended up flushing very nicely. Another 1 hour imbalance, another tap, another very nice flush. But right now we're taking liquidity and we're tapping very deep inside this weekly imbalance. So I will be very careful taking more shorts on Aussie dollar. I really need to see a clear 4 hourly imbalance retested. I really then need to see a clear 1 hourly bearish imbalance and 1 hourly bearish shifts of structure in order to start guiding me lower. So if I'm to take a short, it has to look something like that. Okay. And of course, if we start getting then the disrespects and we start getting some bullish structure, then of course I will immediately shift my bias. So for Aussie dollar, nothing really immediate. I'm more short biased right now on the short term, but I know we can start shifting bullish anytime. NZUSD was quite straightforward. We just had this weekly imbalance. I said we could potentially push higher without pulling back to the weekly, but we actually ended up pulling back, which is nice. Let me remove, oh, come on. My mouse is really not working. It's double clicking or it's not clicking. Weekly imbalance tapped, great. On the daily time frame, you can see right now, we had a very nice expansion yesterday on the daily. And today, potentially, we can form a daily supply and demand sandwich. So I'm going to wait for today to pass to form that daily bearish imbalance. And then if you want to go long, you have to wait for this daily imbalance to fail. And then once again, to start guiding it towards that high. So what we have to really realize right now is that it's too early to be looking for those kind of very big reversals. And yeah, you can see, for example, on NZUSD, because I'm not really looking at that pair, it actually ended up tapping into this forward imbalance. AU did not. Forward imbalance, no tap, forward imbalance, tap, follow through. All right. So again, it really depends on what kind of trading plan you want to have. Do you want to look at a lot of pairs and work with higher time frame zones, or do you want to look at very few pairs and also work with the lower time frame zones? So currently, again, tapping into that weekly imbalance. I don't want to go long. Why? Because we're not ready yet. I don't want to go short. Why? Because we're not having anything else on the forward time frame to keep shorting. And we're also tapping into that weekly zone. So guess what? It's time for patience. The market is probably going to make a daily bearish imbalance. And then tomorrow you have to wait and see how that one taps, what it's going to do. And then potentially even, I think it could be already next week that we start failing this daily imbalance and then potentially start guiding us towards new highs. Okay, so unfortunately we got to wait. Gold is starting to give us the short signs towards that weekly projected target. So dropping onto the forward time frame, what we had here at first was this forward zone. Beautiful tap on Monday. Beautiful tap on Monday, and then it consolidated a little bit. It pushed lower, took out this low, which is the previous daily low. It pushed higher to grab some more liquidity. And then it very nicely ran lower. And what we're doing right now is we're kind of reacting also from a brand new fall imbalance here. And these tiny zones can't even draw them. There is the fall imbalance. And then potentially we are first of all driving towards this fall low. And of course that weekly bullish imbalance. So this to me is actually looking like a very nice setup. On the 1 hourly time frame, we are just flushing lower. And why we're flushing lower? Because there is absolutely nothing to stop price from flushing lower, right? There is no 1 hourly bullish imbalances. There is nothing. So very likely the market is just going to go down. And if you want to be, for example, catching trades, you have to potentially be working with lower time frames like the 1 hour or like the 15 minutes. Sorry. So 15-minute pullbacks, 15-minute supply zones. If you can trade them, perfect. Okay. Or of course, you can wait a little bit. Maybe the market during some news later on, it can pull back into the imbalance and then potentially drop. But I think overall, by the time I speak, and a little bit later, the market will very likely potentially push lower, take out this liquidity, take out the weekly imbalance. And then when we tap the weekly imbalance, it's going to be exactly the same as all the other pairs. We have to wait for the market to start giving us the signs that it wants to shift. But overall, gold is my favorite setup right now. This is kind of the only pair that actually has a clear drawn liquidity. It has a clear bias. We know potentially where it's going to go. So if you manage to jump on the trade, I already have members actually taking this a little bit earlier into the short. So if you can manage to get in on a time frame like a 15-minute or a 5-minute, then that's going to be great. Let's see. Let's see how it plays out. Let's see if we tap into the weekly. Quite curious about this. USD/JPY, the bias worked out actually nice. That immediate bias we had, fall imbalance tap and then targeting the highs. That played out, and then right now what we can see is we're just shifting everything. We're starting to very nicely push lower. The market pulled back a little bit, and right now it's flushing lower. We actually formed a daily bullish imbalance, but it looks like so far we're not holding from it. There it is. The market tapped it, reacted, and right now it's just breaking it. What I really don't like is that we don't, yeah, for shorts, we don't really have 4-hourly bearish imbalances to potentially short from. The only one we have is all the way up here, which right now it's turning into a reaction area and not really something to be going short from. Right now we're sweeping the previous daily low as well. So if this one actually turns bullish on the 1-hourly time frame, it could be a potential long trade. Why? Because we're still inside that daily imbalance. Now, I know a lot of people are saying when an imbalance gets broken with a body, it's invalidated. No, it's not yet. Because then you really have to wait and see for 1 or 2 more candles, how are they going to react? Because right now we're sweeping that previous daily low. And if the market starts giving us bullish signs right now, like in the form of 1-hourly breaks of structure and 1-hourly imbalances, then that could potentially mean that the daily zone is actually holding. So let's see. I am very 50-50 on USD JPY. Again, the DXY is super bearish. Well, not super bearish. It could actually turn bullish, but it's tapping into a weekly zone. So the overall expectation is for it to potentially go down. Okay. So USD JPY, also the short side is a little bit more viable, but let's of course see on the intraday. I think if we get a 1-hourly bullish, it could be a potential long, but for now, because we don't have anything on the 4-hourly time frame, I'm not really going to look into it. Yeah, the other yen pairs are also, yeah, 4-hourly imbalance tapped. We had a very nice push here on Monday, and then we're having the reversal. Yeah. So daily time frame, no imbalance on the daily, but it already took the liquidity. So I guess, yeah, this one is kind of done right now. Nothing on the 4-hourly time frame. Nah. So I think, yeah, USD JPY for longs looks a little bit better than this one. This one is taking a daily swing point. So we would like to see like a daily or a 4-hourly rebalance. We don't have it. It's all the way up here. Right. So again, as I said, if you want to trade counter trend here, you can. But you first have to ensure that the 1-hourly time frame really shifts bullish. And then it starts guiding you towards that 4-hourly zone. So that is an idea that I might have. But for a continuation lower, we don't really have anything to work with right now. So I would either wait for a new 4-hourly bearish expansion to then start guiding me to some of these lower targets, or just don't trade it. All right, this one is nice. It just went into this very big zone. That very big zone, was it the weekly or a monthly? Ooh. All right, so GJ tapped into a monthly and it's already starting to give us signs of a reaction. There is nothing on the weekly to stop it, and also on the daily time frame. Wow, okay. GBP JPY could get really interesting in the upcoming weeks and even days. There is absolutely nothing on the weekly, and there is absolutely nothing on the daily from this low to this high to potentially give price a reaction. So this one here on the daily and even on the weekly, it could print big candles going lower. So if you're trading GJ, I think it, again, everything could change. So don't again listen to me too much. Everything could change. Daily bearish imbalance to form, pull back maybe tomorrow, and then we can look for potential expansions lower. As you can see, for example, on GJ, I think it's very nice because it's reacting from a monthly imbalance. It also has this weekly this 4-hourly bearish that we can potentially go short from. And this is the only JPY that actually has something recent on the voyage. UJ is up here, DJ is up here. This one is recent, and there is the one up here. So GJ to me, super short bias. We had this very nice consolidation here. Then the market manipulated into the monthly imbalance, and right now it's giving us that range, manipulation, and initiation starting to go lower. So let's see. I think it could get interesting into the incoming weeks, but even this week you could potentially be looking for the shorts. This is currently what we can work with, but if it continues to push lower with new breaks and new imbalances, you can of course continue following the flow. SPX, I thought it's quite close to all-time high, so I thought we were going to pull back and just push higher. No, we're very massively, we just took the liquidity here, and then the market just very nicely runs into the weekly zone. All right, so guess what? Once again, it's waiting time. We have to wait to see, is it going to react? is it gonna start turning bullish? Because from a weekly zone, the market's just not just gonna tap and go. I mean, it did happen on GJ. Monthly zone, it tapped and it's already going, so that's very nice. But usually, it's not the case. So right now, we're having a lot of bearishness on the hourly. Imbalance, 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 imbalance. Those are all areas that the market could potentially react from until it actually starts really pushing higher. So keep that in mind and also give it time. Give it time. A very massive daily expansion. It's very likely going to have a daily bearish imbalance to then potentially work with into the incoming days. So to me right now, the indices, also Nasdaq, you can see it looked very good for longs towards that high. But no, it just took out that high here and then it just dumped. All right. So currently we are actually, we came in the weekly on SPX. We came in the weekly on US 30 and we also came in the weekly on DAX. Nasdaq was the only pair that actually had a tap in the weekly from the previous week. So that's interesting because right now all the indices are into a weekly imbalance, so maybe they all can start potentially going higher, but that could potentially happen after NFP. So especially for indices, I wouldn't really have any big expectations right now this week because there is really nothing to move them until the NFP. Okay, so even for today, we're in this candle 3 of a potential daily imbalance here, daily imbalance on SPX. So I would just wait. If you want to go short, potentially, I think it's possible. We have, like, for example, on SPX and on Nasdaq, we have all of these foul imbalances with a very nice breakup structure. You just have to ensure to know like what to target. But what I, for example, don't like on Nasdaq, it's that it's actually also tapping into an old, unretested daily reaction area. So this can also right now start pushing the market a little bit higher to form that daily imbalance, and then maybe tomorrow on Thursday we tap into the daily and then we could start getting shorts into Friday. So again, I think today also SPX, you can see it's tapping into this guy here, right? It has one below, it has one here as well. Very 50-50, very 50-50. I would definitely work with the hourly time frame here, but I would be really careful. And if you really want to trade with high probabilities and like a professional, I would just say wait for the NFP to get out, wait for the market to give you the context that you need to see about where it wants to go, and then it's all gonna be good. Okay, so the indices, not extremely clear. This kind of massive bearish move is, it's not confusing, but it's tapping us into some very strong bullish areas right now, which are those weekly imbalances. So we really have to wait. Okay, so yeah, full circle back, the DXY is just not ready, which means that the EU is also not ready right now. And you can see it in price. GU, not ready, weekly imbalance. We have to wait to see the clear shift. Aussie dollar, not bad for shorts. But again, it's tapping into that weekly, so it can start shifting anytime soon. So if I'm to take a short in Aussie dollar, it really has to be a really good looking setup. NZUSD also just tapping the weekly imbalance. We gotta wait. Gold pretty good. Gold is the only favorite setup for right now, but I just think it's gonna flush towards that a weekly imbalance. And then guess what? When it taps the weekly imbalance, we gotta wait. And then pretty much the JPYs are also the same. It's just that GJ looks like very nicely like shorts. UJ and EJ, not that much. And then the indices, we also have to give them a little bit of a time because right now, again, we're tapping into weekly imbalances for the first time on SPX, on US 30 and on DAX. So we can all start seeing a little bit of a bullish reaction. Okay. So NFP weeks are always like this. You are potentially going to lose some money. You might also win some. It's all about, again, like my most profitable months are usually months that I didn't really trade on the NFP weeks. But for example, I just want to get in, look at the setups, and just also learn how to just strike on the setups while detaching from the outcome. Because if you wait too much for the perfect time, for the perfect setup, you're going to end up not really trading. Okay. So that's from me for this Follow of the Market Wednesday. Let me know how you're performing so far. Let me know what is your favorite setup looking for the incoming week. Let me know if you're actually going to be trading on NFP. And I'm going to catch up with you on the weekly outlook and setups on Saturday.